Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of the Tom Nash Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Last week, Sarah Granitz was here. Some of you may know Sarah by her tagline on Instagram, where she has a pretty large following, like over almost 300,000 followers on Instagram, mostly women, but she is a trainer for women, and her tagline is Strong by Sarah, and it's very, very popular. And I enjoyed that show very much. And Sarah's energy's just, it's no wonder that she has so many followers on Instagram because she is a young woman who's gone through some transition. She has refired herself in her early 30s and doing some great things and helping people get better. And I love her philosophy when it comes to strength and fitness and nutrition, because it all works together, and she's not selling any nonsense like so many people out there are doing. And you got to be real careful with the influencers. And as I said during that episode, I get pitched all the time on fitness influencers wanting to come on here. It's like, nah, we got to have this. We got to be on the same page with all that stuff. Or it's like, no way, go do your thing. That's fine. No hard feelings. But we got a lot of integrity with this radio program. That's why we do stuff like the Journey into Higher Ed. The young superstar, going to call this one. Dallas Sims is my guest today. First timer. Love this guy. So awesome. His education went to North Carolina A&T University. I almost said AT&T. My telecom background. And he is a senior at Michigan State University currently. He's just carrying a 4.0. No biggie. The guy's, kind of sharp. Kind of like him.
Maybe.
University High School Academy in Lathrop Village, Michigan, down in the Detroit, Southeast Michigan area. He's got lots of professional experience all over the place. Love this young man so much. He's got so much talent. And the way we met was kind of unique, but I'll let him tell you all about that. His community and leadership involvement. I want to share some of this stuff. Aggie Men Mentorship Program, additional accomplishments, HBCU Week of STEM Scholars Initiative, scholarship recipient. Got so many scholarships on here. It's like getting paid to go to school. That's the way you do it. Then we got to talk about this too. And we're going to talk about this too. How do you get money to help offset the high cost of becoming educated? Target Scholar Scholarship, Alpha Lambda Delta Honor Society, varsity basketball captain, and high school class board social media coordinator. Can't imagine that from a supposed introvert who I find that hard to believe. I mean, when you told me this in our pre-show call, I was laughing. It's like, we need more introverts like this guy. I want to welcome to the radio program my friend Dallas Sims. Dallas, welcome, my man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I'm excited to be here. I appreciate you as well.
Thank you so much for saying that. I appreciate that. See, the older folks don't get it. When the younger folks like a Gen Z or like a Dallas, who is just a superb individual, when he and the young people say they appreciate you, that's high praise, man. Let me tell you right now, I looked it up. Dallas, I did look. You could say, well, I thank you for that. I appreciate it. But no, when you say I appreciate you, I know that carries weight, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's genuine, man, because a lot of people, especially people your age, you don't have to do this. You go out of your way and you give me pointers and, tips and tricks. And you, we just met at the gym. So you just came up to me out of nowhere. So you don't have to do X, Y, and Z. You just do it out the love of your heart. So I really do appreciate that, man.
You know what, man? It goes both ways. I appreciate you saying that too, and I appreciate you as well. All right, young man, young superstar, you are super talented. I'm so glad to be part of your journey into higher ed, out of higher ed, and where we can help you with all this. And then you helping young people, parents, grandparents, you know why we're going to do the journey into higher ed. But your story is very compelling. Your injury that you had last year, we'll get to all of that. But first, let's do that. This is your life.
Yeah.
You got some time here. Go right ahead. Please, talk about your family, mention names, go right ahead. Take your time, get warmed up. Go ahead, Dallas.
Yeah, absolutely. So I grew up in the Detroit, Michigan area. Grew up initially in Detroit, moved to the suburbs like 5 minutes away. So they're literally back to back, Detroit and Southfield. Grew up an athlete, man. Football was first. I started playing football at 5, so that's kindergarten, and then all the way up to 5th grade. So about 10 years old, I think. Did the whole nationals, traveling all over the country for football. Went to Florida for nationals. Came up short. We got 3rd place though, so that's better than nothing.
All right.
And then that was my last year after nationals. So transitioning to basketball between 6th through like 11th grade. So just being an athlete, man, and staying active, and that introverted personality stuck around, but I think the extroverted communication skills comes out of being an athlete and always being a leader on a team, or if not leading, then cooperating with others. So just learning how to communicate effectively and in order to get to that ultimate goal of winning, or if not winning, then learning the lesson from losing and then transitioning back into winning next time. So,
Let me ask you that question here because we're we don't want to skip over the family, but
right.
that ability and the fact that you did experience loss and losing, how did that help shape you, and in what way did it?
You got to lose, man. You have to lose. It's a famous quote by one of my favorite artists. His name is Young Thug, but you have to lose because it teaches you adversity and it teaches you how to get up from your lowest point and persevere and keep going. That's my thing. Like the sun is gonna come up every morning. It's not gonna stay down just because of a mindset that you're in or like a circumstance you went through the day before. The sun is gonna come up whether you like it or not. So you got to figure out a way to get up the next day and keep pushing forward and keep that discipline in. So that's what it taught me, just to keep going. And I haven't into too many times where I was losing. I've been fortunate enough to be on a lot of winning teams, but everybody don't win every day. So yeah,
That's for sure, and that's the whole thing about
yeah,
when you don't have that entitlement, and unfortunately, and we've discussed this a little bit about some of our generation, and as parents, we have to take absolute responsibility and accountability for entitling and teaching our children to be entitled because they get it from somewhere. It's just not
yeah.
like you guys just fell off the entitlement tree and it's like, oh, it's all your fault. I
Mhm.
mean, somebody had to feed into that whole thing. So that's what's been happening. That's the cool thing about having the conversation about the journey into higher ed, Dallas. Talk about it now. You went to, and we got about 3 minutes to go in this segment. So we'll finish this thread when we come back because this whole show is going to be about this. But start the journey. You're in high school, junior high. Where did you want to start this whole thing to help young people understand about your path? Because you've had a very unique journey to become the young superstar that you are. Go ahead, please,
Yeah.
Dallas.
So high school was different for me. I went to a school of choice, as you would put it. That's what they called it back in my city at home, which was more so academic focused. Like you had to maintain a certain GPA, and then we didn't even have our own sports team. So we had to play for. So I went to university. I had to play for Southfield High School though. So it was like a brother sister relationship between the two schools, but it was a very small school university. We didn't even have 400 kids at the school. So very headstrong on education, taught me a lot of just pointers on discipline and how to stay organized and managing tough classes. I took a lot of AP courses in high school. Um, but I knew for a fact that college was something that I wanted to do after high school. It just was about where. And 11th grade, I was actually a U of M guy growing up. Um, so that was a thing. And then I was blessed enough to get a scholarship to any HBCU of my choice, my senior year of high school. And I decided to do North Carolina A&T. But Michigan State, before receiving that scholarship, I had applied to state and I got into state and I'm like, I'm going to state like a week or maybe not even a week, a few days after I got the call saying you can go to any HBCU of your choice. So that's how the North Carolina stuff came into part.
Gotcha.
Went down there and that was an interesting experience as well. I didn't, well, me and Varian, who you know really well, we both went down there as a package deal. I grew up with him. But I didn't like the culture down there. I'm a fast paced guy. I come from a fast paced city, so North Carolina just wasn't it. So we came back here.
Keep that thought because we'll come back. We're going to finish this thread. My guest today, everybody, let me reset this thing. Calling this one the young superstar with my friend Dallas Sims. Talking, it's a journey into higher ed. You know how much I love promoting young people and their stories and their journeys and what they're doing and all of the things that they have learned to help us so that we can understand what our young people are going to go through into this journey of higher ed, how to matriculate into becoming an adult, how to adult, all of these things very important. You find young people like a Dallas Sims, a young superstar, and I mean, this guy has got it going on. You want to listen to what they have to say. Lots more coming up. You're listening to the Tom Mann Show.
I like
Just
that.
like, just like Just like talking in the gym, bro.
Absolutely.
Like talking in the gym. Simple. Here we go. Got any questions?
Nope.
We'll pick up the North Carolina A&T.
Yep.
Sorry about that.
And I forgot to mention the family stuff too.
Yeah,
If
we'll
you
do that. We'll get to it. The whole show is you, so it's all good. It's fine. Welcome back, everybody. The second segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Craig Styles, Ameriprise Financial. Love them so much. Again, full disclosure, all of our retirement zone savings. Let me explain something real quick here before I do the Craig thing. You got a choice at this point in my life, your life, as you grow older, all of us. And this can happen from the age of my guest today, almost 21-year-old Dallas Sims, the young superstar, all the way up until you're no longer here. Retirement or refirement. Make a choice. You can retire, which is totally fine, and I'm good with it, or you can refire and get ready for the next thing, and that's what I'm all about. That's where Craig is helping us with our retirement zone savings. Our Ameriprise financial advisor is Craig Styles, and I hope he will become yours as well, because you know what? The thing about it is I don't have to worry about this stuff. I got other things to do. I want my life to be brilliant, and Craig is helping us do that because with the right financial advisor, like a Craig Styles, Craig, and the whole staff over there, Amy and Karen and everybody else, life is awesome and can be brilliant. Call Craig 1-800-528-1355. 1-800-528-1355, 517-483-4893 is his local number. Craig.styles@ampf.com. Offices are located at 2651 Coolidge Road, Suite 103, East Lansing, Michigan, 48823. Stations that have carried us do carry us in the past. I am so grateful to any radio station that carried us, is carrying us, and you never know about radio, broadcast radio, and syndication with the Michigan Talk Network. Thanks to Steve and Ivy Gruber, the owners of the Michigan Talk Network. They saw something in us years and years ago and put us on the syndication, so we're blasted all over the state of Michigan on that syndication. But here are some of the stations, again, in and out of the network. WGHN 92.1 FM in Grand Haven, Michigan on the Lake Shore was the first to ever carry us on broadcast radio, and I'm very grateful to them. Will and Wendy, so much. Love you guys so much. WGIM is the flagship of the Michigan Talk Network, 1240 AM in Lansing, Michigan, WJRW 1340 in Grand Rapids. We've got WKLQ 1490 in Muskegon, Whitehall, WYPV FM 94.5 Mackinac City. There's 40, 50 stations in the Michigan Talk Network. Not all of them are talk. Some of them are music. It's okay. If you're hearing my voice, great. Let me know. If I'm not saying your call letters, I'll be happy to do that. And lastly, I never want to forget Brad and the crew at WKAR, Michigan State University. Go Green, AM 870 News Talk, Sunday afternoons at 5. Simulcast at 102.3 FM in East Lansing, Michigan, the home of the Spartans. We love it so much. Thank you to Craig Styles once again for creating Desideri Analytics, where we are making light of weighted decisions. That is his proprietary algorithm. Okay, to today's show, the young superstar, my friend Dallas Sims. Dallas and I have been friends now for a little over a year. We talk all the time, just about every day. And we see each other, met, of course. Where do I meet? Where do I meet good people? Meet good people in the gym. So we're getting into Dallas's story because he is a journey into higher ed. He's a senior at Michigan State University carrying just a lowly 4.0. You know, he's on the dean's list. He's a smart guy. He's going to go places like, I love being on little rocket ships with people like Dallas, because if we can help them launch, makes the world a better place. All right. So you started telling your story about you and our guy Varian, another great guy. You guys decided to go as a package deal down to North Carolina A&T, and you're explaining why and how that all happened. We'll get to the family thing in a second here, Dallas, but finish that thread. And then because the juxtaposition between going to Michigan State and then going to you're a senior in high school and you're having to make these life decisions already. So go ahead. That had to be challenging.
Yeah. Especially because it was 13 hours from home. So it was a decision that I wanted to make because I wanted to be uncomfortable, and he did too. So that's why we both decided to go. But also I wanted to get away from home just so I could experience life by myself. So It was a process moving down there. Once we got down there, the first couple of weeks was cool, but as time went on, we get through the whole freshman stuff, the partying and, doing the stuff that in hindsight really doesn't matter, but it's a part of the college experience. But the city that North Carolina A&T is in is like a very slow country, southern city, not much to do. It was about an hour and a half from Charlotte, which is like the main city in North Carolina. So I really just, it wasn't for me. And I was able to realize that like the end of my first semester there. And then second semester was really like a reset for me. And I had to sit back and kind of redirect where I wanted to take my life. And that's why I ended up, making a decision. Let me just go ahead and transfer back home. I'll be in a more comfortable environment, but I'll also be away from home where I can find myself being uncomfortable and still grow at the same time.
What drew you to Michigan State University? What was it? Was it because it was in your home state of Michigan, or were the programs? What was it that? And as we're talking to parents, grandparents, and younger people coming up here who want your advice, what tipped the scale for the Spartans for you, Dallas?
If I'm being honest with you, it really was because it was close to home, but it was also a big enough school for me to be like, okay, I can go here and I can network with I mean, it's 50,000 kids that go here. I can network with people, I can meet people, and I can have a home away from home. I knew I didn't want to go to U of M because they're more, I would say, I was in the scholarship program in middle school because I wanted to go there, but then I realized U of M really isn't my speed. They're a little more headstrong on like the academic side. Not that I'm not, but I feel like Michigan State has a mix of academics and then social, the mix of both. So that's what I wanted for myself.
Balance.
Yeah, that social balance.
A little more social band for sure, for sure. Well, we got a couple minutes to go before we finish this segment here, Dallas. Talk about your family a little bit. Name some names. I mean, you already named your brother Variant. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
go ahead. Name the rest of the family.
So I grew up, my parents have been divorced for most of my life since I was 3. Still very close, very compressed family dynamic, as I would say. Have two brother, or I have a brother and 2 sisters. And
What are their names?
back to back to back. So I'm the youngest. So Dallas, we got Jordan, Jalen, and Dustin. Everybody's back to back to back. So 20, 21, 22, 23 as of now. Yeah, so uh my brother is the same. We have the same mom. And then I have a stepsister, which is Jalen, and then I have a sister who has a different mom. Same dad though.
So the
So
blended family, which is very, very common nowadays.
yeah, absolutely, yeah. But everybody is literally like
Yeah,
meshed perfectly well together. I don't even use the half sister, stepsister is family. That's my sister, that's my brother. I got my brother back, I got my sister back,
that's
real
awesome.
tight.
That's kind of how my family is. I haven't even told you this, but we're blended families. You know, my mom remarried, and there's 5 on my side, and there's 4 on the other side, so there's 9 of us total, and there's no step nothing.
Yeah,
And it's just like that's the way it goes. So they support you in all of your academic journey, and
absolutely.
obviously somebody gave you that foundation. And when we come back from break, I want you to think about something, these keys that were a key to your foundation getting into the higher ed, and then some of those other building blocks that are helping make you make you successful as you are now. And then we'll
Mhm.
get into the business thing, because this young man, everybody, and I'm taking this through the break, Dallas, just to let you know, and I'll reset this for the listeners. This young man's going places. He's got so much on the ball. He's got a lot of irons in the fire in different aspects of his life. And the thing is I like these hardworking young people. And this guy gets it done. And we'll talk about his injury, which could have just completely ruined his life. I mean, for a 20-year-old, 19-year-old guy, for sure.
Yeah.
Lots of things have occurred for Dallas. We'll be back. We'll share more of that story of the young superstar. This is the Tom Mann Show.
You are sharp, man.
Just
You are
roll,
sharp.
man. Just fucking roll. It's easy. Thank you. All right, here we go. Super fun. Love doing this shit. So it's so easy. Just it took a while to kind of get used to doing all this side of things, the
Yeah.
computer and all the software, because we never did it this way. like I said, when you come over sometime, I'll show you the whole setup so that you know when you start doing your own podcast. That's the thing when I tell people, it's like I do the heavy lifting and we're on radio.
Right,
Okay. We do we got all the channels established. We make it easy. I do all the production. There's no cost to you whatsoever. You can go ahead and start a podcast, but is that where you want to put your energy? Because
right,
I see people thinking about doing this stuff and it's like, good luck. I mean, I would encourage anybody who wants to do it. Fantastic. It's great creativity, but I would also encourage people to think about writing a book and or getting into public speaking and
right.
because if you're doing a podcast to try to think you're going to monetize it, forget it because
Yeah,
it takes too long. And if you got want to get your message out there, great. You want to build content, great, whatever. But sharing the love is what we're all about, man. And we make a little bit now, but shit, we've been doing this 14 years. So it's like,
right. Yeah.
should be. Here we go. This segment of the Tom Matt Show, sponsored by another kingpin, Jamie White. White Law PLLC, where justice meets compassion. Love that tagline so much. White Law is your advocate in times of need. They are here to listen, support, and fight for what you deserve. If you haven't heard Jamie's very compelling story of why he got into the law game, please go listen to that podcast. Just Google Jamie White, Tom Matt Show, whatever. Go to our websites, do the search box, however you want to do it, and you'll find it. It was such a compelling story of just some bad stuff that went down when he was a kid, and it was interracial stuff. He's from an interracial family. He had an assault to his dad from some just complete jerk. You know what I'm going to say? Jerks down in a park in Jackson in the 70s, and back then things were way different than they are now. White law and that's what made him become the white law kingpin that he is now, because they will support, listen, and fight for what you deserve. Contact White Law today for a free consultation, or you can get a hold of me like some people have done because I don't know, they're a little intimidated. They want to call Jamie and maybe they think they get through quicker. I don't know, whatever. If I know you and you have a law issue and you want to get a hold of me, I will do that lift for you. I will call Jamie. I will text him, and we will, I'll get an answer for you. Put it that way, okay? Contact them today, 517-777-9785. Their website is whitelawpllc.com. Easiest way to get to any of our sponsors is my homepage, tommattshow.com. Bottom of the homepage. All of our sponsors and friends are there. Just click right on through and away you go to their website. And remember, and I thank Jamie, Christine, all of the whole staff over there, Stephanie, all of you for sponsoring the Mad Dog Minutes, which I just got done editing today's version of David's very, very popular 1-minute clips we put on our YouTube channel at tommattshow.com. Go check those out. All right. My guest today, the young superstar, Dallas Sims. Dallas and I have become very good friends last year or so, and I love this guy's. He's just got it going on. I mean, these young people who have such a bright future and they have an opportunity to grow and make our world better. I want to be part of that whole game. The whole thing is just wonderful. All right, so we're talking about choices. We talked about the family, the journey into higher ed, how you wound up at MSU, and we're building that foundation of what your success, because you're a 4.0 student at a very high level institution here, Dallas. Kudos to you.
Thank you,
What
man.
are some of the tips that you have coming into the university at your level for making you successful? What are some of the things that you would like people to, if you could look back on your younger self right now and you could say, hey, young Dallas, come here, let me talk to you here and let me give you some advice, because this is, don't do this, but do this, do this, do this. What are some of those tips? Because that's why, I love having you guys on. Go right ahead, please.
So when it comes to school, my biggest thing is staying organized. And we talked a little bit about this yesterday when it comes to writing stuff down. Because I mean, you can keep a reminder in your head, but that reminder go right out if you don't have it written down somewhere. So I keep a planner, and I try to write down assignment due dates and then get ahead of those due dates as much as I can. That way I have leisure time for myself to do things like, design or go to the gym or go play basketball. But I think being organized and staying ahead plays a big role in my success when it comes to school, just because it takes that mental load off of you. You don't have to go through the stressing and the worrying and the trying to cram things in and study the night before a quiz or and then using your resources. I think a lot of time people don't want to ask for help because they might feel like it's something wrong with being tutored or it's the ego, man. The ego has to be pulled out like we talk about all the time. But those two things combining is an equation for success, in my opinion.
We talked about that yesterday where you're saying, and looking at my notes, you got, you take the ego out of it and you're
Hmm.
a design person, but you're also a tech person.
Hmm.
Been, you dabble in several different things and you're an athlete. And we haven't even talked about the gym stuff yet. Talk about the gamer side of Dallas, the tech guy side of Dallas,
Yeah.
and the entrepreneurial side of Dallas, all of those things that fit together. How do you do this and still maintain a 4.0?
Yeah. So I grew up playing a lot of video games, man. I used to literally sit on the game for hours at a time. And this is not the most healthy thing. I'm not recommending this for anybody, but I think it builds character and it taught me how to maneuver around a computer. I even built my own computer at like 13. So very tech savvy. And I think that kind of transitioned over to staying disciplined and being on top of things and trying to stay organized because I mean on the computer, you know how easily things can be crammed up.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's staying organized and then if we transition over to the business side, so I didn't start my own business until like college. Like my freshman year of college. I knew I wanted to have a business exiting high school, but I didn't know what. And I'm still kind of in the process of figuring out what's for me because I mean, like you said, refinement. You transition to things all the time, but I knew that I had to find a passion in something, and whatever came easiest to me, just like technology and computers, is what I want to pursue. So hence my major, information science, tech, and then the business side, close. Both of those things come easy to me.
Well, that's good. You talk about resources, you talk about management, you talk about all of these things, and it's like, and we never really discussed your major. Your major is
Information science, yeah.
information science and advertising. I mean, so
Right.
you're out there doing you're at ComArts and
Mhm.
you're involved with a lot of very high tech programs and tech just goodies. Is the education at Michigan State in that field, has it prepared you for this next level that you're going into?
I think so, definitely. And you don't see much of it until you get to that junior, senior year because your freshman and sophomore is more prereq. You're doing all the classes that you might feel like aren't very important, but junior year definitely changed my outlook on college. You
Like,
start taking those classes that are a little more advanced.
in what way? How did it change your whole aspect, your
The
whole
material, the material and the workload, it was stuff that so freshman and sophomore was more stuff I was already familiar with from high school a little bit. Junior and senior transition to skills that you can use in the corporate world after school.
got it. Now you mentioned earlier, Dallas Sims is our guest today, everybody, the young superstar journey into higher ed. You mentioned earlier, and I want to just touch on this for a second about the AP courses that you took in high school.
Mhm.
How influential, how impactful was that for you in your higher ed and in college and your college journey? How much did that help you?
A ton, man. I would go on record to say that AP courses, the workload from there are heavier than most college courses that I've taken at North Carolina and at Michigan State. So I think it prepared me because I would go home in high school and be spending 3 hours just on one homework assignment, taking notes from a textbook. And then we'll go the next day in class and have a quiz for those notes. So preparing me to learn how to take diligent notes, but also how to manage a heavy workload. I get to college, I'm like, this is nothing. So I'm I'm getting through these classes like it's nothing.
So and that's a good point. And what we during our pre-show yesterday, everybody, again, my guest is Dallas Sims. I'm going to carry this through Dallas because we're going to come up on break here, but I want to talk about the discussion we had yesterday about continuing your education because you're a senior and discussing, does he want to go to graduate school? Does he want to go into work? We can talk about all of those things. I mean, give me a quick answer on that. How are you feeling at this point right now? You don't have to be yes or no, but just give me a 30-second answer on that, and then we're going to go to break. How do you feel about graduate school?
Uh at first, before I met you, I was completely closed off to it. I was headstrong on I'm gonna get through this 4 years and figure it out from there. But more open-minded, I would say, because I realized the opportunities and the advantages that come with it. So keeping my options open and not pushing anything off the table as of now.
And see, that's very fair. That's a very fair answer. And thank you for saying that, until you met me, because what I like to try to do and what I did with my graduate experience, everybody, was I didn't want to lose my edge because I was 46 years old at the point when I was finishing undergrad. I was the ugly duckling over there. Everybody knows that story. And so to roll into it, same thing in everybody's situation, it depends. That's the famous, catchphrase of it depends on how you are, where you are, how you're feeling, all of it. And this young man, Dallas Sims, the young superstar, he is making it happen and managing his life. And that's the key that we're talking about here with the journey into higher ed. Again, you're listening to the Tom Matt Show. Rolling, baby.
Yes.
We do here. We roll.
Yeah.
Segment 4 already.
And we hitting all the points.
You got your points?
Yep, we hitting them.
Okay. What haven't we hit so far that you want to hit?
We hit introvert a little bit. We hit the background. We did basketball and football coming up.
We're going to do injury and we're going to do work. The one thing you didn't talk about that we haven't had time to talk about yet for keeping your saw sharp in your academic life is the gym.
Yeah,
And
yeah. That plays a huge role.
And that's the whole thing about encouraging young people to, because you got all this exposure, all this fighting or all this drinking, fighting and drinking. I'm thinking about drinking. I'm thinking about fighting. It's like you got all this stuff going on. And then you mix in all the girls
Yeah.
and the guys. And it's like, it's challenging, man. We put you guys in a tough situation here. Here we go. The fourth segment of the Tom Matt Show is sponsored by Brock Fletcher. And again, full disclosure, the whole thing with Brock, we hired him to help us sell Big Household. They helped us buy Little House Lansing, thanks to Mike Dedman. Thank you, Mikey, so much for doing what you do. It's all about trust. It's all about trust with Brock and the selling team of Keller Williams Realty. Love Brock so much. All of our sponsors, you can go listen to episodes on the radio program with them. We've got Jamie's up there. We've got Craig's got a lot of episodes up there, and Brock's got up to 20 or so. I don't even know, 15 or 20. Here are phone numbers. Get a hold of Brock. Tell him you heard it from Tommy, because that tells him that, that it immediately lets him know he heard on radio. Two numbers, 517-853-6408, 853-6408. His cell phone number is 517-303-3262. You can go online to kwsellingteam.com, kwsellingteam.com. Sell your home without hassles. Most agents start marketing after you list with them. Brock is in line with this way before he gets your listing, because he wants to invest ahead of time to give you the best service and best bang for your buck. Brock Fletcher at the selling team of Keller Williams Realty is an investor, can either give you an immediate cash offer for your home, which you won't need because he'll get you a better offer from somebody else. But that's the whole point of all of this. If you're worried about it, don't. Call Brock, talk to Mike Dedman, get a hold of him. Again, 517-303-3262. My guest today, my friend Dallas Sims, called this one the young superstar, talking about his journey into higher ed, talking about accountability, all of his entrepreneurial thoughts and passions and everything that he's doing. And we just brought up the topic of going to graduate school, because Dallas will be turning 21 here soon. So he's obviously a young guy. He's a senior. He's done it all right. He's right on track, and he could easily launch into industry and probably do very, very well. My advice to him, and as he started to think about it, is, he's managing pretty well right now. It depends for the individual. Dallas, talk about some of the things, because now that you're a senior in college, it's a little different than when you're a junior. Every year when you're in college, things change, right? You have to keep your options open. So talk about that from a student's perspective, how you don't want to be locked into one program, because that could be the kiss of death. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. I mean, whether it be a major or, being headstrong on a certain path you want to take, new opportunities new opportunities display themselves all the time. So I don't like to shut the door too much on things unless it's just a logically, decision that you have to make. But I mean, tomorrow I might wake up and I want to do something completely different. And if I feel that that's what's best for my life, then I feel like that's the road that you should take. And you never know until you find out. Experience is the best teacher. So you might transition into something and be like, wow, I thought this was my passion, but this actually better aligns with what I really want to do.
Experience is the best teacher. See, I'm writing down these notes, learning from my young superstar friend here, Dallas Sims, who's a guest today, and the journey into higher ed. Experience is the best teacher. All right. So, some of the experiences that you've had, you had a rough year last year.
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
about that rough year because that could have easily, if you don't have the right mindset, Dallas, if you don't have the right mindset, you're derailed.
absolutely.
Feeling sorry for yourself. But I didn't see that with you, man. And that's what drew me to you last year when I met you was after your situation. Go ahead, share that whole thing. What
Yeah.
happened?
So second semester, I came back from Christmas break. It was a new year. Usual stuff, our routine. We working out every day, getting in there, getting into the basketball gym a few times a week as well. I go to a hoop run, and funny enough, this is the same. I think it was a Thursday. It was either a Monday or a Thursday because those are leg days for me. And I hit heavy legs that same morning. Went to a hoop run. We played like 7 games back to back to back. You keep winning, you don't come off the court. So we playing until we can't no more. Get through the entire hoop run. You can't leave the gym on the miss. So, clear the gym out. I'm about to dunk the ball. Everybody got cameras out. And I jumped off my left leg, ruptured my patella tendon in my left knee, and hopped out of there and went straight to the hospital. And that was a setback. So I had to end up getting surgery. And I was out I just finished up recovery 2 weeks ago, technically. So I was out for about 6 to 7 months. No basketball, no running, no jogging. So the injury itself taught me a lot. It taught me discipline, of course, like everything else in life. But the biggest thing I would say is it taught me how to get back up. And that's how I spoke to that a little bit early on, but I could have sat in my bed in my cast and every day and not showed up to the gym or not tried to continue to be active or continue to uh chase the goal that I'm running after, but I couldn't because I knew it was a slump that I would sit in. I can't just sit in a slump and be down. So I wasn't supposed to, but I was getting back in the gym as quick as I can. And I was getting on certain supplements like collagen just to make sure my repair would be a little quicker and pushing myself, not too much to the point where I could damage something, but pushing myself to the limit where my body is telling me, keep going until we capped out. And yeah, so therapy was a whole thing and that whole recovery process, but I'm glad I went through it because it taught me how to keep going and how to get knocked down and figure out a way to get up and persevere.
You have said during this interview, Dallas Sims, our guest today, everybody, the young superstar. You've said during this interview that you wanted to get up from your lowest point of adversity. You wanted to get back up. You wanted to be uncomfortable.
Yeah,
When I met you, you weren't very comfortable.
at all.
You had that big old cast on your leg, and you
Yeah.
were in the gym, and that's what drew me to you. I'm like, I'm looking at this really, really cut young man, and he's just great guy. You can tell he's got the good eyes. That's how I know. I can tell with these young people. I've been around that gym for so long. They got the good eyes. They're approachable. Approach this young man. Commented on his shoes, but I actually commented on that big ass cast he had on his leg, and rupturing. Just so I can clarify. Let me clarify something for everybody out there. I haven't ever had this injury, but I know another man who has a trainer friend of mine, Lee Boyce, who ruptured both of his patella tendons doing exactly the same thing that Dallas was doing, jumping, dunking a basketball. And when you do that, it blows up your leg. I mean, this is not like a torn meniscus. This is a very, very serious injury. So you had to be, did you miss much class time when you were going through? Because this was in right at the beginning of the semester, right?
February. Yeah, so I was able to like transition all of my classes online, luckily. So I just did all of my work. I still went to some classes, but the hassle of walking around I mean, I couldn't walk. I was hopping or I was limping. Like even in the gym, you would see me like limping. and I couldn't walk for like 3 months. So
That's a
luckily,
true
I
story.
was able to
This guy,
adjust.
this guy was walking around. He was bouncing around the gym with a full leg cast from his hip to his ankle, all
Yeah.
the way, and he
Mhm.
was still getting his time in the gym. This is dedication. That's what I'm telling. How much has that helped you in your academic career now that you've gone through that adversity, you've learned that resilience? You know, you've been an athlete a long time, but the gym itself and your whole academic career, what would you do?
Yeah.
What kind of advice would you give to younger students?
So if you can't tell already, I'm a structure guy. So the gym is like my safe haven. It's like an escape from the noise. And I gotta escape every day or else I go insane. So going into the gym, I typically, I try to get in there 5 times a week, at least six if I catch that Saturday. But the gym it elevates that discipline, but it always keeps you sane, or at least it keeps me sane because it's a routine thing. If I miss the gym, man, my whole equilibrium is messed up. Like I can't my gym schedule has to be consistent. Unless my body is talking to me and it's telling me, rest. Like today I didn't do my 2-a-days. I just got in there, we did some weightlifting. I didn't even go to the basketball courts, but because I had the rotator cuff stuff that we talked about this morning. But it's a consistent thing that I think it consistently keeps you, of course, healthy. My mental health is through the roof as far on the good side though, not negatively, but
Right.
um I think it sets the tone for the day. That's what I'll say.
Sets the tone for the day. And he's an
Yeah.
early morning guy because I'm an early morning guy. When I meet the early morning crew, I know for one thing, they're disciplined to come in the morning, which is challenging,
Hmm.
and they're consistent. And that's the thing about challenging and being consistent. We're going to carry this thing through break. And we come back, everybody, for the famous fifth segment. For those of you that don't get the fifth segment on broadcast radio, go to the podcast, TomMattShow.com, pick it up on any stream you want, whatever flavor is yours, Spotify, Apple, whatever, and get the podcast because the fifth segment's always lots of fun where we're going to talk about his entrepreneurial aspect. And then I want to actually ask him as well how much COVID affected him and his colleagues, his friends, his generation, because he's a Gen Z guy. He's 20 years old, almost 21 years old. My guest today, Dallas Sims, the young superstar. This is the Tom Mann Show. One thing I need to get with you is I have a terrible time managing my freaking memory on this. I get deleting things. My computer's got I don't even know, 500 gig, maybe a terabyte on it. I think
Hmm.
500 gig laptop that I've got all this shit running on. And it's just like, I got a warning here that I'm running out of memory again. I
Hmm.
delete shit all the time. It's like all these videos and all of this, it just
That will take up most of the space. Yeah.
chews up so much space. I got to get better at my file management. I mean, I need a lesson from you.
Yeah.
Uh,
You can get an external. Well, I
yeah, I've got external drives, but it's like,
it still builds up.
it's just one of those. It's like, okay, what would be the best setup? Would it be just to get a bigger computer? I
Hmm.
don't know. We'll have to talk about all that.
Yeah.
I definitely could use your help with that.
I got you.
You know how that is. Memory stuff, file storage, file.
Yeah.
It's I've learned. Here we go. Oh, this is plug. By the way, Dallas. This is where I'm going to ask you to throw your whatever you want to promote. We're
Hmm.
going to talk about promoting the business too, but how do
Right.
you want people to contact you? Your email, your phone number, if you want to put it out there. If you don't. But whatever you'd like or not. I mean,
Hmm.
so I'll throw it to you. Is that something you want to promote? Speaking.
Uh, Definitely the brand page. Probably not my phone number, but the
Okay,
brand
just give
page and
the
my
website,
email for sure. Yeah.
the email to the business or something like that. You
Okay.
got that all handy right in front of
Yep.
you?
I
Okay.
know about her.
Okay, good. I got to ask because I've asked this before, and I've asked like my doctor friends. It's like, well, ask them their phone number, and they don't even know their own phone number
Yeah,
because
that's
they're
crazy.
calling. Yeah, here we go. 10 more minutes. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Tom Matt Show. How are you doing today? You know, and again, full disclosure. Hold on. The whole thing with Brock. We hired him to. Cursor was in the wrong place, and I did it again. Gosh dang it! Here we go. Do, 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 do. Welcome back, everybody, to the Tom Matt Show. Fifth segment. Love the fifth segment so much. The young superstar, Dallas Sims, is my guest today, talking about his journey into higher ed and other things, his entrepreneurial activities, and just the whole journey, because it's so important to get their story, because every student I bring on this radio program, podcast, their stories are all different. Hopefully, some of the tips you get out of their stories will resonate with you and help you, because we bring on really successful students, and Dallas is at 4.0. This guy is going to be hugely successful. That's why I called it the young superstar. All right. Remember, you can always get a hold of us, tommattshow.com. That's the website. You know how to get that. Contact information is there. Send us, if you've got questions, topics, any of that kind of stuff, just hit it on the contact box. It goes right to Sandy and she'll get it to me. All right. Dallas, how would you like people to contact you? What's the story? I mean, what would you like to
Yeah,
promote? How do you want people to connect with you? Go ahead, please.
absolutely. So you guys can follow or you can find me on Instagram. The brand page is Confidential Closet. So if you just type in confidential, it'll be the first thing that come up. And then the brand email is just brandconfidential@gmail.com.
Brandconfidential@gmail.com. There you go.
Sure.
Before we get into the brand confidential stuff and all of the clothing things that you're doing and the real estate aspects, because you have met with Brock Fletcher. He's a
Absolutely.
friend.
Shout out to Brock,
Isn't he the greatest?
the greatest, very good
Okay.
guy.
Before we go into the COVID stuff, talk about Brock for a second, because
Yeah.
Brock was just on the show a couple weeks ago. He's a sponsor. He's a very good friend of mine. But talk about the conversations you've had with Brock, because first, when I first met you, I asked you what you wanted to do in your life, and you said real estate. And I said, okay,
Mhm.
please talk about that story for a second.
So I was grateful enough to have a conversation with Brock. And we actually have a whole text thread as well. But um, so I'm very interested in like rental properties and Airbnbs, and initially wholesaling was the thing that I was attacking when I first reached out to Brock. But just like you, just being a very receptive older guy compared to me, and being willing to give me those nuggets and those pointers and direct me in the right direction. He told me he's an open resource and I can contact him whenever I want to. So I was very appreciative of that, and just all around good guy, man. Anybody who comes in and is connected to somebody that they don't know and they're willing to give them those tips and tricks and that, you know, advice, I'm all for it. So shout out to Brock, man. Really good.
Exactly. Thank you for saying that, because Brock is a very approachable guy. And
Absolutely.
if you want to learn some real estate, he's the guy you want to go to. He's got about
Mhm.
15 interns working for him from Michigan State University. And we had one of those, Caleb Coley, was here with him on this previous episode. And that was really a fun episode, a football player from the Spartan football team. All
Yeah.
right. We got a lot to cover here in this last segment here with my guest, Dallas Sims, a young superstar, journey into higher ed. Dallas, before we go any farther, I want to just touch on the COVID situation, because you were in high school and starting college when all of this was going on. How has that affected you, and how has it affected your colleagues, the Gen Z people that you're around, your friends? What is some of the attributes, good and bad, that has come out of the COVID situation?
Yeah. I mean, a lot has come out of it for sure. So COVID was first introduced to me. I was a junior in high school. And I got the notification that, we weren't going back until further notice. So we ended up doing online school. I'll start with the bad. As a collective, I think for Gen Zers, I think it made us socially awkward, man. And I think it put everybody in the house. If you were an extrovert, then it kind of forced you into that introvert mindset. And it took away just people skills. But for me personally, I enjoyed it because I'm a homebody. So I don't have no problem being at home, adapting to online school. I was very tech savvy, so I could work my way around the computer really well. Um, I think the only bad thing for COVID is not getting that sunlight outside. But I mean, I still find ways to, go on walks or um, get outside somehow. But it definitely affected me. And I think COVID was probably the reason why I stopped playing basketball. So I stopped my 11th grade year. I didn't play, but I was going to play again my senior year. but it was in the midst of that whole COVID thing. I'm like, I might as well just just not go back to it
You got
because
robbed,
I had to
man.
wear masks, man. Yeah, I wasn't trying to wear masks while playing basketball.
Yeah,
That's
I
crazy.
was not going to go back to I'm West wearing a mask. I mean, there's
Yeah,
just no way.
couldn't
I
do it.
couldn't see the whole point of it. It's like, no.
Yeah.
And plus the whole thing with the gym for me is a social thing. And what was happening is people would come in and they would leave because they was afraid of each other. So that
Hmm.
totally it was a complete social breakdown,
Yeah.
communication skills. And I appreciate what you said about some of your other Gen Zers that it became more socially awkward. I mean, how
Mhm.
could you avoid it? You're
Right.
locked in your room. They give you a tablet. You're a tech guy, so you're like, okay, cool. I got this stuff down. But it
Right.
wasn't conducive for you, and you lost your senior year of basketball. So
Hmm.
good story. We're recovering from it. One thing I want to remind everybody is our COVID kids need our support even more than we even talk about. Sometimes I think we forget about this stuff. It's like that wasn't that long ago. This young man was a junior in high school. He's a senior in college now, but it's certainly impacted his life and all of his friends' lives in a huge way. All right, let's finish the rest of the episode talking about your entrepreneurial side of things and the clothing line and what your vision is, the branding of it. Talk about it. Talk about your passion, finding your passion with the clothing brand. Why apparel? Why did you want to go into the whole thing? What started this whole dream of yours, and what do you want to share with some of the listeners out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So growing up from a very young age, I was a sneakerhead, huge sneaker guy. Probably got like 20, 30 pair of shoes. In my apartment, I don't even have all of them here. Once I got to a point where I'm like, all right, I got enough shoes. Then the clothing obsession became a thing. And it's like styling pieces and getting out different pieces in my closet and putting stuff together. I was the friend that everybody calls, and I still am, where they like, should I put this with this or how does this look? So at that point, I knew I had something. I knew I had an eye. That second semester at A&T, my freshman year, I wasn't going outside. I was in the house being a homebody. But I knew like I needed to make something happen. For one, I didn't want to be in college. Like I didn't want to live a typical college lifestyle. I wanted to create something that was personalized for myself. And I think I'm always trying to go with what comes easiest to me because I feel like my output will be impeccable. So um, I had that computer and I downloaded Photoshop and I just started working at it, man. I started working at it, and I came up with the name Confidential because it was an embodiment of myself and the introvert. And I'm trying to keep things private, but I still express myself through my personalized ways. In this case, it was clothing.
Well, one thing I can say about this young man, Dallas Sims, our guest today, the young superstar, he wears a skull cap all the time in the gym. I wear headbands every day. I have about, I don't know, 30 of them. And I wear junk headbands. I like to brand junk headbands. And it's like when you go into enclosed, have you heard the term enclosed cognition before, Dallas?
Mm-mm, never heard of it.
Enclothed cognition is a term, everybody, where a doctor puts on the white coat, you have a different vibe, you have a different
Mhm.
take. People respect you, they look at you differently. When you come into the gym like you with your long cast, your skull cap, and you're dressed impeccably for the gym, very respectfully, not cut off stuff, nice stuff. That's my kind of thing. Enclosed makes you feel like a better athlete. When you
Yeah,
perform, when you dress well, you perform well, right?
absolutely.
And that's the
Ab-
whole thing. That's what enclosed cognition is. It makes you, it raises your level of awareness and ability. Do you like that term?
Yeah, I do. And I also I live by when you feel good. I mean, when you look good, you feel good. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. So that's the thing. Now, when you go to class, give some tips because the kids out there, they don't know really what to do when they come to Michigan State, they go to college. So when you're dressing for school, what are some tips from the fashion guru
Yeah.
or men and women? Go ahead.
So a lot of people think that you need to buy the most expensive clothes to look good. Um, I'm a big streetwear guy, so I elevate, sweatpants, vintage tees, regular t-shirts. You don't have to buy the most expensive thing. Things just need to be coordinated. But my biggest thing when it comes on to putting clothes on is dress what is comfortable to you and not what somebody else will want to see you in. Dress for yourself, don't dress for others. Uh, that's really it. and just be comfortable in your own skin, because you can tell when somebody is not comfortable with what they're wearing. You can tell in their whole demeanor and how they're maneuvering around. But like I said, when you look good, you feel good, man. So find
You
that
know,
style and go with it.
you know what I tell my grandson, and we can close this off here. I get your last take on this one. I tell him if you're going to wear the clothes, if you're going to wear the gear, if you're going to wear the shoes, you got to be a baller. You got to be a player. And I said, don't be a poser. And he said,
Mhm.
what's that mean, Papa? I said, a poser is somebody who's a poser. They're fake. They're not real. Show up. If you're going to have that enclosed cognition, then get in there and get the work done
Yeah.
because then people have respect. What's your take on that? And then we'll wrap this bad boy.
I mean, I completely agree with that. That literally goes hand in hand with what I said. So I'm all for it. And I think a lot of times people are afraid of the perceptions of others. But at the end of the day, nobody's gonna really remember what you wore today to school. Do what you want to do to live the life you want to live. Unless you come to school with some crazy outfit and they remember because they really liked it. So now you're known as the person who can really dress. So I think it's two sides of it, but just don't overthink it, because once you start overthinking your style, that's when things get tricky.
For sure. For sure. I totally agree. I'm going to wrap this thing here. If our show fits your business or group's mission, we want to be of service to you through our guest topics and issues. Let us know. Always remember before you can share love with others, you must love yourself first. Always. Thank you to my guest today, Dallas Sims, Sandy Matt, Craig Stiles, Brock Fletcher, Jamie White. We'll talk to everybody next weekend. Have a great week, everybody. Go out and ignite your life. Remember, the Tom Matt Show is a production of Boomers Rock Media. We want to bring your story to life. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you again to Mitch Anderson and Vanessa. We are out. Dallas Sims is the bomb. Loved him so much. I wish I wouldn't have technical difficulties with my computers, but that's the way it goes sometimes. And we roll on. So in the meantime, thank you so much for listening, doing what we do, and moving forward life. All right. Tom Matt Show is a production of what we do here, Boomers Rock Media. Thank you so much for joining us. Please support our sponsors. Peace out. Love y'all.